order at 5 o'clock, March 18th Water Commission meeting. Had a chance to review the minutes. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Gonna be opposed?
No,
Okay, just not sure, 'cause you didn't make any noise.
Rules
so-
of necessity, you seconded, so we're good.
So that's approved. Okay, we'll get through the warrants. We have no abatements or refunds today?
No. I just keep them on there just in
Yep.
case.
I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything.
Nope.
All right, we got Rick Damon on the agenda. He's not here. At this point, we'll come back to him if he does. Mr. Hoyt,
Okay,
we'll take you on now.
great. So I'm gonna hand out a figure. I figure we'll start with the PFAS piece.
Oh, great, thank you. Mr. Chairman, we have a member of the Board of Selectmen here tonight.
Well, I didn't know if he wanted to be identified or not, so I was gonna let him do it on his own. Mr. Ryan, would you like to say a few words?
I would like to say thank you to both of you for being here and doing what you do. And I have just been continuing to make the rounds from committee to committee to committee. This is my second week in a row with Mr. Cruz.
Yes, you have my sympathy.
Yes, exactly. But, and thank you for that. But no, just every place I go, I learn something, so.
Oh, thank you for your attendance.
Thank you. Everyone is welcome at our meetings.
So what I printed out is just a sketch, so don't read too much into like exactly where the fixtures are. What we're trying to do is identify, our options, and first and foremost is making sure we can accommodate adding a bathroom without changing the building or foundation design. So just to kind of put in some context where we are in terms of schedule, we have all of our approvals from DEP, both on the administrative side, so the items related to the loan, as well on the technical side, in terms of the BRP applications for approval to construct the treatment facility. So what we have done, I think effectively a week ago, I believe, we submitted a letter to DEP with just some clarifications. For example, they asked for some feedback on BABA. As you may recall, we filed a waiver for the BABA requirements because the project was funded prior to those regulations being in place. And it was estimated that the impact of the cost would exceed the percentage threshold. And so rather than going for additional funds to cover that, we requested and were granted a waiver. So the impression we got based on the correspondence is that other communities similarly did it. So they asked us to take part in this informal survey, so to speak, and list our top 10 items that we no longer need to have that. I think they're just trying to get stock of what types of things are driving project costs. So if we hadn't gotten the waiver, what are the 10 items that would have driven the price up, essentially? So that was one of the items. There's clarification on the flood boundary. As you know, we're well outside any flood boundary. And so that was easy to respond to. So we had, I think, 2 or 3 clerical items like that, as well as us formally requesting permission to advertise. They came back asking us to make 2 changes to the front end of the spec related to language necessary for the SRF funding. So we have made those changes and we're sending the front end back to them tomorrow morning. So what we're anticipating is that by Wednesday, we will receive that permission to bid from DEP. And we would like to essentially, I think Wednesday or Thursday, we submit to the Central Register. You'll have to submit to Combis, and plans and specs would be available the following Wednesday. So a week from Wednesday, if everything goes right, we'll be out to bid. So that puts some pressure on us to resolve a couple things as quickly as possible. One is recognizing the bathroom issue, which is what I just handed out, and the other is just coordinating with the planning board for review. So we did reach out, and unfortunately we do have to go through the formal process. So we're going through the process of getting the abutters list and paying the $40 application fee and getting on the schedule.
When I talked to them, they were actually looking in to see if there was because it's a water project, if they could avoid the special permit for the district. And went through and researched it, and there's no out. So that's why we do have to go that
Yeah,
file.
which is,
They
fine.
said it's not gonna be a problem, it just has to go through there.
So just we have to recognize that process is going to be happening in parallel to the bidding process, and if any comments come out of it, we're going to have to address those items by addenda while we're up to bid. And then the other piece is, kind of bathrooms. As we kind of alluded to, the industry has kind of been a little slow to react to the whole bathroom ruling. There's a lot of conversation happening between the Mass Water Works Association, DEP, and the State Plumbing Board, because there are significant environmental concerns, in some locations for putting bathroom facilities inside of Zone 1, is what DEP's, main concern with the, the new classification of unoccupied spaces needing an accessible unisex bathroom, essentially. So looking at our treatment facility, we think on merit, is one thing, but by code is another, and we don't really have time to go for a variance. We don't think the history of variances prove that we are going to be awarded a variance, so it seems like wasting time we don't have. And so I think the most prudent course of action is to add the bathroom to the design. So, like I kind of alluded to earlier, our first concern was making sure we could fit the bathroom in the building. And so we've kind of sketched out kind of the only place we think we can squeeze it in. So just some context, we have a variety of openings in the structure that are needed for both short-term and long-term maintenance. So I'm just going to refer to it, top, bottom, left, right. North is technically right on this if you're trying to picture yourself on the site. But the front door is kind of shown at the bottom. And this is, what's facing the existing building, and the door that is going to be most likely used by Wayne and staff to get in there and do what they need to do. As you know, everything in here is going to be able to be operated at the other building. It's all going to be connected to the SCADA there, and use of this building would be limited really to just visual checks. So in terms of the inconvenience this is going to add, we are lucky that there's not a lot of maintenance and work being performed in this building. But on the top of the building, we have a knockout panel. That's necessary so that if we ever need to add those 2 additional vessels, that's how they're coming in. Just for people in the audience who haven't followed along all the way, you'll see we're showing 4 vessels here. But in reality, half of these vessels are going in now, and the other half is just reserved for space if they're needed in the future. So that knockout panel on the top is what's going to allow those vessels to be moved in and installed. And then on the left side of the sheet, we have our overhead door, and this is what will be used for the filters that are being installed on day 1 if we need to do media replacements. So at some point, that media will reach the end of its useful life, it'll be removed and replaced, and it will be done through that opening. So knowing that we can't really block anything in between the garage door and the 2 filters, or anything between the knockout panel and the future filters, you can see we're kind of limited to the bottom part of the sheet. We originally had looked at kind of sticking it in the corner on the bottom left, but in terms of an accessible layout, it was challenging to kind of fit it in there. And so kind of what we've sketched out here is our current layout, and the one that we're sending up to sub-consultants to comment on. And the unfortunate thing is that you will no longer have egress, around that building. In practice, the cleaning pad and the gravel way will be level. So in practice, if you wanted to kind of squeeze between the wall and those tanks, you'd be able to do so, but we could never categorize it as, an actual walkway or means of egress. So when we're updating our code review for this, those, essentially won't be a means of egress anymore. And it will be kind of annoying for you if you walk in the front door and want to get to those filters. If these new ones are ever installed, then you kind of do have to either squeeze through or walk around them. On day one, it's not going to matter because only 2 of these vessels are going to be in, and you won't really feel the inconvenience unless you're trying to get in the corner on the bottom left. So
Are you putting the containment curbs in now, or they go in if the new filters go in also?
So, yeah, good question. So it's all flush, so we don't have any chemicals in here, so this is condensation control. So as you know, the water temperature and the air temperature are gonna vary greatly depending on the season. So the way this is installed is we have the floor slab and the footings in essentially a hole, 2 holes in the floor. And then inside the holes, we have our equipment pads, and then the annular space between the outside of our equipment pad and the inside of the hole in the wall is going to be filled with crushed gravel up to grade, and then that all drains essentially down.
So there's
And-
nothing coming up above floor?
Right, so it'll all be flush. So you will be, like I said, walking across a little bit of gravel, but it will be flush. But in terms of moving wheeled carts and stuff around, you're going to have to go around it.
We've worked in worse areas. This is minor.
So, I guess kind of getting to the logistics of it, we need to get the layout kind of finalized, and we are going to be asking for an amendment for the change in design. Based on the timing of it, our sub-consultants especially have all submitted the final drawings. I don't have a number for you today because we're still trying to get some out of our subs, and I didn't want to promise it was going to cost X and then have it come back Y.
Well, how much of a change are we looking at, though? I mean, shuffling things around other than the bathroom. Is that what change would involve? With how
So,
is going?
yeah, so the only change we would be seeking the amendment for is adding a bathroom. And essentially, we have to engage the architect to help us get the building. Look, if we go with a metal stud construction, we can avoid redesign to the slab. However, if we were to go with the CMU block room, the loads would push us over having to redesign the slab. So we'll have the work of an architect. The issue is we currently have no plumbing scope at all. And now we're going to have, plumbing sheets. We're going to have plumbing specs. We're now going to have filed sub bids for a plumber. So all these things have to be added to the contract documents.
We can't hold off on that and maybe, since we've got basically the ADA requirement for handicap bathroom, maybe hold off on that to see what maybe might be volunteered through the town. And then not have any designing at all, other than it would comply, with 248 CMR and whatever building requirement is for that instead of.
Yeah, the
That way-
issue is we have to just be very careful that we're not trying to bypass any procurement rules. So if the total scope of the plumbing is going to be greater than $25,000, under Chapter 149, that would require a sub bid, which is kind of why we want to make sure this is at least designed far enough along to get get pricing from a filed sub bid. Because it would be more challenging if we try to do this by addendum, because if we change the scope of the sub bid after we advertise, they're most likely going to ask us to extend the bid date so that they can adjust their pricing. And schedule-wise, we're really up against it. So
No, again, I'm just concerned that the change order that we're looking at for design and any other costs that might be associated with the half bathroom might be more than the actual installation of the bathroom itself.
I don't know. We could present the cost to you, but we have to at least show enough for them to price. And one of the challenges we have here is that I assume we want to go to the sewer that's on site, and that currently is like 220 feet away, and is only 4 feet of buried depth. So if you run at minimum slope back to our building, you're sticking up out of the ground. So, we're looking at potentially having to pump our waste from this half bathroom to the sewer that's on site.
Or have a tight tank just for that particular use.
Or have a tight tank. Yeah. But then you have to live with the tight tank. Which, we have plenty of facilities where we've done tight tanks. It's typically not our first choice.
Well, if it was a difference between pumping to get to that existing, as little use as this thing's gonna get,
Right.
put a tight tank. I mean, there's no maintenance every once in a while. If we have to pump it, as long as it's put in there watertight, we'll probably never have to pump this thing.
Yeah, we have all our things done yearly anyways.
Yeah, but with the, I mean, again, that would be an empty
That one,
tank.
if you just tell everybody, don't use it unless it's like
Yeah, we'll lock the
dire emergency.
book. We'll lock the book.
Well, it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, it's limited use only. I mean, it's not something that we would take into consideration. I mean, it conforms, my issue is obviously that it conforms to 248 CMR, which it does. The bathroom is there. I mean, the conditions that surround it in terms of being locked or accessibility, that's not in my code that I'm concerned
No,
about.
but we've gotta get
Enforce.
the potable water line back.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to do that either way. We have to
Yep.
do one of those small on-demand hot water heaters under the sink. We were thinking maybe you could go with a commercial version of those, macerating toilets that people use in their basements essentially. Use that to pump to the sewer as opposed to, actually collecting and pumping it.
I don't know, what you're gonna have to,
I don't like, I mean, it won't be being used. First time someone goes in and uses it, then we'll find out if it's not working anymore. If you have something like that. I mean, that's,
There's a reason you don't see them outside of very niche applications, right?
Mr. Chairman, the Board of Health is in charge of the tight tank application, I believe. So is that something that we could mention at maybe my next Board of Health meeting to see if a tight tank is allowable for that particular, because it's not practical or possible to, well, maybe not so much practical to pump it the distance that's required into the existing system.
well, we'd have to go to Board of Health either way. If we're
Yeah.
adding flow to the septic that's
Yeah.
there, or to do the tight tank. Like I said, to me, especially if it means we're pumping, and even worse would be pumping ground wastewater, which then doesn't particularly care to settle. I'd much rather just go to a small tight tank.
Same here.
I mean, that's,
I like that idea with the tight tank as opposed to,
I'd much, don't even, because by the time we get that thing working, you got the sink, you got that, nobody's gonna be in this building. Anything mechanical is, chances are it's gonna fail.
you're going in to look at pressures and that's about it.
Yeah.
Fair, understood. So
They can hit the toilet back in the main building before they go in.
understood.
at least there's one in the building to comply, so.
Yeah, I mean, if they have to use it, it's there, and again, then it goes
Yep.
into a 1,000-gallon tight tank.
Right.
Again, we flush 4 gallons into it, and we've got a long way before we have to pump the tight tank.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've done these in facilities and used tight tanks, so we have no issue designing it that way.
But I'm just more concerned that the change order for the redesign and all that stuff is more money than the actual cost of the job. That's,
Yeah, but we have to, I mean, if it goes and turns out the money comes in over what the filed subbid should have been, then we're in trouble.
okay, all right, no, I get it.
That's our
That's-
concern, yeah.
All right,
That's-
I mean, and I will just offer up that we don't take it lightly coming and asking for amendments. I think we have a history working here where, we almost never do so. And so, the fact that we're doing it, I think, is just an indication that it's a reality of, getting done what we have to get done.
no, I understand. I've only been on the board for 10 months, I'm still getting familiar with.
Now, Massachusetts public bidding laws. There's no way we can just come off the PFAS treated water piping for the water for this, right? We've gotta bring it back.
Needs to be potable water.
Well, yeah,
Well,
it's a hand washing.
It is, but it isn't.
It is,
That's
but it
what-
isn't, right? So, I mean, the designation through DEP is that it's filtered water, not finished water, right? So even if we take it off the outlet of PFAS, it hasn't gone through, you know, the final chemical addition and out the door.
Yeah.
We have sampling points and chemical addition points downstream of there. So
And the sink has to be potable water. We can't just say non-potable water.
Right, it has to be potable.
Sink.
Toilets have to be.
That has to be potable, so that kills, well,
Is it actually considered potable water in the definition of potable water in the industry, if it is? I mean, if it's considered, that's what my definition is, potable water
yeah,
in my plumbing code. I mean, if it meets potable water, is it potable water with DEP as opposed to, you know?
It's not full log compliant at that point.
We just list potable water.
well, no, but it's technically the plant, this plant produces water, it has to be
Right.
disinfected.
Okay. All right.
So we aren't disinfected to the full log at that point. So we'd have to bring that back.
so
Can't just put a
technically you're
non-potable
not
water
until
sink.
the 100-foot tap is.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have some leeway there, I think based on our, you know, projected residual levels. But yeah, technically we would take it off the tap, you know, where the existing plant does.
Okay.
You know, that, you know, it's not ideal, but we'll just run
No,
some
it's
copper along the same path that our, you know, big ductile iron pipe is going.
You know, if we have to, we have to.
So I guess what we're looking for, and I don't know, you know, the correct, you know, process to do this, but, you know, we're essentially looking for a go-ahead to do this design, get the bathroom in, get it into the package so we can get it into the planning board and get it out to bid. Understanding that there's gonna be additional engineering costs.
But would there be a breakdown, like an addendum for the bathroom ad? I mean, on our bid documents, it would be addendum for the bathroom. Can
So-
we break it down that way?
Like
we
to
know
get
that-
it in
Our
the bid
goal is to
document.
get it done, and we're gonna have to really work at this, but our plan is to have this completely in our design to the point where it can be priced out by a plumbing subcontractor by the end of next week, when plans and specs start getting sent out to prospective bidders.
I'm just saying, because if, say, the plumbing gets donated, we'd have to walk it out of the bid
Yeah, but
process.
if the estimate comes in that it's a filed subbid, you can't donate it. You can't get the plumbing donated to get around a filed subbid. We're gonna get in trouble with the bidding laws. That's an issue, if it comes in, what's the number again?
It's
On the subbid?
25,000.
But if the work is less than 25,000 and it's not a filed subbid, it's one thing. But if it's a big enough job that it would require a filed subbid, you have to go through the filed subbids.
Okay, so it'd be everything, would be the wall, the electrical, the plumbing, which would be obviously more than 25.
Well, the filed subbid would just be the plumb, the
Right, it'd just be the
$25,000 would be,
The-
would it include, wouldn't include the underground until you get 10 feet from the building.
Right,
Right.
So
it'd be,
10 feet out
the-
from the building,
And the tank.
everything going in.
the tank would be inclusive of that.
Tank's not
Ooh,
plumbing.
No.
the tight tank, I don't think that would be included on the
As long as it's
subset.
beyond the 10 feet, 10 lineal feet of the.
And you gotta be 10
foundation.
feet out anyway.
Well, 10 lineal feet now, so you can go up 2 feet and hang a right 8. So it's 10 lineal, my code is 10 lineal feet from the inside foundation face, it's not just 10 feet.
Oh, so it's
up.
not just
So
an
if you have to
offset
keep the
from
tank within 10 feet, say 8 feet or whatever, you can make an
I
offset
see.
within 10 lineal feet.
Okay,
And then it'd be under the plumbing code.
Then it wouldn't be under the plumb, as long as it's greater than 10 lineal feet from the inside foundation face, it'd be, even though the tank could be within 8 feet or whatever, you could offsets to make it less than, or greater than 10 feet to make it out of the plumbing
I
code.
see.
Yeah, but for Title V code, you wanna be 10 feet off the foundation anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So you're gonna make that.
All right,
So
So that
basically,
would, it would be the
cost of the fixtures and the piping.
and the heater.
Yeah, the heater. Yeah. prevailing wage.
Right, and labor. I mean, I think there's a really good chance it's gonna hit that $25,000.
You get there fast.
Yeah.
And plus we've already got enough lighting in there probably, it's already gonna be a
Well, here's
fire
the
subject.
problem is a separate building, right? Oh, yes, sorry, I'm answering the wrong question.
Yeah,
To your question, yes, you're correct.
so that's not gonna affect that, it's be a minor change on the electrical. We need,
Yeah, so the costs for the, plumbing design and the electrical redesign is not very much. So we're gonna have a vent fan that we need to bring power to, and then a light. We might even be able to get away with a combo light fan if it's a 49 square foot room. And they're bringing 1 point over, so that's not gonna be. But the other issue is we're relocating all of our control panels at this point.
Yeah, right.
So we have a louver that we're probably relocating to make room for where our panels now need to go because they can't go where they're shown. All of these things, we're prepared to make happen, but it's, there's some work to get there. But I guess for us, the top priority we're committed to is making sure this gets out to bid so that we are awarded before this June 30th
I agree.
deadline where principal
I agree.
forgiveness could be lost.
Yep.
So that's,
no, when
it's
you,
where we're coming from is we're gonna, do whatever it takes to make sure we're up to bid on time.
Yep, I agree with
I
you.
mean, and if it came in that we didn't need to, we could always send an addendum out that says cut certain things out, but,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I'd rather
I agree with you. Yep.
not take a chance on not getting it out there, particularly the way the funding's going. We're trying to do this cheap as possible for the town. So what do you need? Just a verbal, go ahead, do it,
Yeah, just your permission to do the design and get it out to bid.
and you'll get us as soon as possible, give us an addendum price.
Yeah.
For what
So
it'll
what the
be.
additional engineering is for us and ourselves.
I'll make that
Okay,
verbal
motion.
for,
I'll second, all in favor, aye.
Thank you.
I don't miss a deadline.
We will not. I mean, we've been doing good. We haven't missed one yet. We don't plan.
No,
to.
this has been staying on track
Yeah.
pretty well, so.
you're doing a great job.
Yeah, so I don't have anything else on PFAS if you want to pivot. Do you have anything else on PFAS?
Other than the lab just they destroyed the day 14 sample.
Oh, of course they did.
Good kid.
No.
So you're getting the replacement.
I'm gonna
test
take
for free?
day 28, well, they just sent it to me today, I'm like, it's gonna send me a kit, I'm like, I already got the kit, I'm sampling tomorrow for day 28.
28, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little, you can't turn back and go to day 14.
No, I can't, it's unfortunate.
Okay. It will have to explain this, explain it in the report.
Yeah.
As long as you can't blame us for it. So you wanna pivot?
Yeah.
Oh, crap, I never shut off.
So I guess the other thing, just wanted to kind of follow up is, last meeting I showed up with a memo about flows and the pilot test report, and just wanted to see if you had time to kind of digest the numbers and if we were comfortable moving forward with the 1.8 MGD as our.
I gotta go, cause they don't see those other numbers, the permitted numbers. So I did send them an email with what we actually do, and at that current, I believe, we're still, even at 1.8, it's over what we currently can pump. So it's still, even though you're downsizing it, it's still oversized for what we actually can do. Not to say that at some point you don't add another well somewhere, but.
So what are we at right now? Without.
I don't have
Did-
an email.
did you-
I think it's 1.4.
1.4.
I think 1.4.
Yeah,
The
it's
plan
not,
is
it's not
1.8.
way over, we don't wanna.
No, it's not way over, it's not gigantically oversized, so.
Okay.
And if you bring up Station 1, if somehow we figure out to get that quality better, then you're gonna gain that right there.
Yeah, so for usable capacity, what I have here, so let me know if they need, it's the same values you sent us, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
190 gallons per minute for 5A, 400 gallons per minute for well 4.
Yeah.
Manly doesn't really matter. And then Norman Ave is 500 gallons per minute.
Yeah.
So, those are the numbers that are we currently can get out of the wells. Maybe some of those improve when we put in new well pumps. But
Would we be changing the VFD? Because that's actually what's limiting well 5A, but that doesn't mean that its drawdown during a drought season wouldn't make us turn it down anyways. You know,
No, even when you get the capacity back, it trails back down over time.
yeah,
Anyway,
they're all
That's
declining runs. When they start up, they're at 1, and then they decline as they run, even though there's no filters involved. They decline. So I said, did you watch the videos on the well rehab?
yeah, couple.
I mean, that was a good example of why you do it.
Oh, no, they need to be done, and you gotta keep on them.
Yeah.
Because we have to keep the capacity up as much as possible, but at the same time, that's all, as soon as that's done, they
Right.
just start
They're
clogging.
gonna clog up.
There's not much you can do about that, it's coming out of the ground, and there's
Yep.
a lot of stuff in the ground. So you are asking for approval to go ahead on that basis of the flows that you presented before?
Yeah.
How soon?
to design the Sear Norman water treatment facility for 1.8 MGD, with the intent that wells 1A and 1B would be used on an emergency basis. And that our treatment facility will be designed, to that flow for iron and manganese. We would not include NIAX treatment, and we will, to the best of our ability, include expandability in the design for future PFAS treatment. And that's going to be an ongoing conversation in terms of how much do we invest now versus how much do we save later on the PFAS. So, that's going to be kind of an ongoing conversation as we kind of start doing those cost benefit analysis. But, that's also on our radar for the design.
Do you need that decision tonight?
So, sorry. So what we're looking for tonight is just, I guess, agreement that we're
For
going to
1.8.
be designing for 1.8 MGD green sand plus no NIAX.
Okay, would have liked to be able to do what we've done here, but we need to keep it moving.
Yeah, I don't
I
want
mean, I doubt he's gonna be, again, that's gonna change, but you okay
I feel
with that?
comfortable, yeah, with the 1.8.
Okay, so we'll do that. Our first steps are going to be preliminary layouts. So if in 2 weeks you revisit it and have a complete 180, give me a call. We won't be so far down the road that it's too late, but
Okay.
we don't want to lose too much time now because we see the schedule for Manly, and this is going to be the same October deadline, right? So it's, you see how tight this is. That's going to be equally as tight. And that's a brand new facility as opposed to, a satellite building at an existing facility, so a few more moving
Jim, will
parts.
that get reviewed by DEP to make sure that we're not maybe going below their number? I mean, like that 1.8, will
Yeah,
they review that to say, no, it should be something different? Is that how it works?
yes, so we'll engage them early on in the process with some preliminary info.
Okay.
We have a very good working relationship with the Southeast region. We do keep them in the loop and avoid surprises. So we'll know early on whether they have any hesitation. We don't expect
Okay, thank you.
any resistance.
If I can ask a question, do they have a standard for future growth that's built into that number?
So yes, but more so on the top end. So we have a combination of registered volume and Water Management Act volume. And in order to have capacity in your wells, you need to prove the need. So communities can't just go out and essentially hoard, capacity. So in our case, we've done multiple reports in town in terms of like what is our actual build out. We've done a build out study back in 2019. We've done asset management reports where we look at population projections, and we have to do it in a certain way for DCR. because DEP uses the DCR method in making sure that, what we're asking for future water aligns. So, we have kind of two buckets. We have, every well has what they're allowed to pump based on their registered or Water Management Act. Then we also have, a town-wide annual limit of what we can use for water. And we're not impacting that second bucket at all in terms of this is what you're allowed to produce as a community. We're impacting which wells can contribute how much to that overall picture. So understanding that this is going to be our second water treatment facility in town, that we do have the benefit of Manly, knowing that, historically, our water use is kind of stabilized at a lower point than its max was. All of these things together give us confidence that even, if we rate this treatment plant at 1.8 MGD, we can handle our max day, what we consider like the worst day, with some combination of all the wells. And plus we have ample storage in the system. We have plenty of storage for equalization and fire flow, and have capacity above that for storage to help mitigate any spikes in usage. So there's plenty of redundancy built in, even at that 1.8 MGD. Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I mean, I think we touched on all the other things, 2 weeks ago. I did get the contract for the lead service. We reached out to the sub.
Yeah.
So my guess is, Molly from our office will reach out with anything we need as we kind of move along with that, but we're gonna kind of ramp up and get going with that. So,
Okay, and you're gonna talk to the planning board and get that.
So we reached out, so Katie from our office, who I believe we met, so she talked to them today just to kind of, make sure we're on the same page with what's needed. We are, so we're gonna, go about that process. And in the meantime, get the bathroom added. I think it's prudent to show that on the plans, before we present them to the planning board. So, it's kind of our item priority one is get the bathroom in there, get the project out to bid. Then 1A, I guess we call it, is, getting in front of the planning board, making sure that any, feedback they have can be included and designed by, addendum.
Okay. Do you have anything else from while he's here?
No.
Okay.
All right, very good. Well,
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time as always.
Thank you.
Going to new business, rather old business. A ZBA appeal, nothing specific. The deposition that I did for the Water Commission's been complete, and they're just continuing, going on. So there's nothing really to talk specifically about. We just covered the next two items with James. Update on the replacement well.
And it's up and running. I have a bug with the electrical, so I'll talk to them and get them back out here so we can finish it out.
But it's pumping.
It's pumping away. It's not.
Okay.
The only issue we had was they're rehabbing the well. They pulled the probe up. Well, the probe saw 0 and shut the wells down. So we had to do something funky with the probe to let it know something was still there.
Put it in a bucket.
Yeah.
Okay, Walnut Street thing. If you had a chance to look for the drip.
I have not gone in yet. It's getting warmer, so I'll go down to Bonnie's next week and see about renting a lift and getting in there and going up.
But nothing's gotten any worse. It's just.
No, it's consistently the same.
And we've had no issues with residual coming out of the tank.
No.
Everything there's good. Anything on solar?
No, and I think we asked James and there's no money there.
Okay, rates and fees.
I thought we were gonna take that off. I thought we had just.
I thought because we had done the rates,
Yeah.
or rather, we did the fees,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're still gonna have to look at rates
That's
coming
why I
up in
said
the
that
future.
one.
Yeah, rates will always be there, but rules and regulations I haven't gotten to yet, because it requires time and effort. I'm trying to guess, we're just ending the cycle. After this, it goes to monthly for the sampling.
Okay. They didn't come back in, but Di Bartolo, did they end up
So
working
he
that
asked-
water main in
Yeah.
Lincoln Street?
He's asked for dimensions for the tie-in point, so I did actually find in the old drawings, there was some good dimensions there.
What, down at Lincoln and South Elm?
Yeah, so they were asking a lot about that, so there's a good sign that they're gonna go all the way down.
Have they started laying any pipe there? Because I know they said they were concerned about SLT getting done.
Pulling up, I haven't
Pulling up.
heard from Randy that they are doing anything, cause usually
He's the one
does
going.
daily. I'll ask him tomorrow and then I'll let you know. But yeah, cause Dee Bartel, they were, SLT was ending and going off to do something else so I'll see if they pick back up.
Okay. The more of that we can get,
Yeah.
the better. And if we can actually make the connection in,
Yep.
that's gonna be a big help. Especially with Scotland Street going
Yeah.
on and everything else, to
Right.
get that loop tied through. Let's see, where is- Oh, that was the other thing. After the last meeting, in fact, 2 days after the last meeting, whatever it was, I did attend that meeting at Environmental Partners, which was basically Brockton, all the surrounding towns, and them sitting together. They put it to start to take a look to see what communities might be interested as far as having supplemental sources of water, sharing water between towns for emergency. Forgot to grab it off the printer before I left, but there was, Raynham was there, Easton, all the Bridgewaters, I think there were one or two others.
We're all sitting in the same, like this old colony that is spending a $1.5 million grant. It's basically the same towns again. I was
Well,
sitting,
it's the same, it's a smaller group of towns. There were a couple of the people that were at this meeting
Yeah.
went to the old colony one.
Right.
And I don't wanna say what their comment was about the old colony one's process, but they said that this one seemed to actually be a little more,
yours is talking to it. They're not even getting to a point yet.
they're more in tune for actually trying to see what can be done, because anything you do is gonna take a long time
Right.
to get all the approvals and everything else. And it was everything from, they look at it to an emergency thing, to one place actually saying that they'd look at, if they could, they'd just shut down all their production and buy all the water outright. So just because that's, a couple of big issues coming up is things like the PFAS, and the regs are gonna keep changing, and operators.
Yeah, operators, that was a big decision.
That's-
It's hard to get operated, you can't pass the test.
Well, they're not even getting enough people wanting to try
Right.
going through
Yeah,
to
I heard
feed
that
it
today.
as it goes. So one of the issues they were bringing up was, again, emergency supply, and they're gonna be getting the information from the communities, so you can look at, okay, if you did, what's the chemistry of the water? Because you can't just turn it on and mix it.
Right.
If you got chloramines in one town and
Yeah.
free chlorine in another, you
Yeah.
can't mix that.
No,
You can
it's
have an
not.
issue. So they're gonna look at that. None of this is costing the town anything, Mr. Selectman.
I'm offended.
Other than my time to go to those meetings, which you're not paying for anyway. But they're gonna look at the chemistry, they're gonna look at the hydraulic gradients to see what, do you have to pump? Can you just flow between towns? They're looking at potential water from the Dayton plant, desal, particularly if Brockton ends up buying that plant like they're trying to plan to. But they're their idea is in, 6 months or so, hopefully, have some kind of a comprehensive thing of saying what's available, who can do what. Most of them, the other towns, seem to be in the same boat we are. We're already spending the money, we can't wait. We have to take care of the PFAS. We have to take care of our other stuff. So like, I think for us, at the most, it'd probably just be emergency.
That's
If
why
we could
most
get
of
a
the towns
connection.
were all concerned about meeting next day, because that's when everything breaks down.
See, I'm not even thinking of that as much as if something really blows up.
Yeah.
And we need to take something for a while. But they'll look at kind of a structure for how it'd be potentially built between them, how you get the water from one town to, because like with Brockton, we are near Brockton, we could run a pipe, potentially could run a pipe to the desal plant. There were communities that couldn't do that. They're gonna look at, can we open in two ends and send water through one community to the other. But they're gonna do a comprehensive look at it. I'm not sure who's paying environmental partners to do it, but we're not committed to pay anything, and we're not committed to any final solution. But they're gonna try to put it all together, and they seem to be on a more, like, practical, get it done level.
Yeah.
Than on the bigger ones. I think Old Colony also, it's going further as far as
It's further out.
the area that they're taking, the number of communities and stuff. So this seems, I'll keep going when they have the meetings. I might be
Okay.
calling you for information.
Yeah.
Once in a while, as they're trying to put things together. But, I mean, it seems like, it's not gonna get us out of spending anything that we have to spend on the treatment. I don't think they're gonna have anything fast enough.
No.
That we could say we're not gonna do anything, and we've got, if we delay it and then it doesn't work out, we could lose the funding.
Right.
Right.
It'll cost us more money.
Particularly if there's principal forgiveness, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't wanna lose
That's
free money. So, I mean, I don't think it's gonna change what we're doing, but I think it's at least, it's worth keeping our fingers in with everybody else, and we might find something here and there. Maybe it's, again, just an emergency thing.
It's insurance.
Yeah, a little bit, because that's one thing makes me nervous, when you have no connections to anywhere else.
Right.
And we see you going crazy if something breaks at the wrong time.
Yeah, just about the time I stepped in, everybody was cutting us free, like, they cut us all free. Like, every town cut everybody off, because you're looking for unaccounted for water.
Yeah, and you don't want to be sending it somewhere else.
Right.
But hopefully, no, we'll see. It might come to something, it might not, but it's, if it's not gonna cost us anything, I don't see why
Doesn't hurt
we
to
shouldn't.
try.
And before we commit to anything, I'll bring it to the
Mhm.
commissioners, and not looking for anybody to, at those meetings to sign on. Okay, that was the other thing I have. John, anything?
No?
Wayne?
No.
Nothing you need?
No.
Been quiet, things are actually working?
Yeah, we signed all the bills. You must have seen some big ones this time.
Well, we haven't signed all the bills yet, I wanted to start it up since James got here.
Next meeting,
Next meeting?
April 1st.
You know,
Really? That's not a holiday. We're getting, having a run of no Monday holidays.
I know.
Did you hear from Rick Damon? We have him on for a water bill thing?
No, he was, he had a leak, or like, I can't remember if his hose was left on or the outside spigot was left on, so he got a really big water bill. And he didn't want to.
you can see the thing come on at like
She was-
12 in the afternoon. Like, somebody opened up a garden hose full bore, and they didn't
Forgot
catch
about
it
it.
for a while.
And he was coming in to, see if he didn't have to pay for that.
I paid for it when I've done it, so
So
I've
did
done
I.
it a number of
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
so-
So, but he called before even he called, definitely called in like right after he had gotten his bill in February, and he couldn't make the 2 previous meetings, so this was the first available. He probably, forgot, or I don't know.
All right, it's not like we're expecting them
No,
shortly or
but that's
something.
what it was, yeah, because we sent the guys out, I think.
Yeah, I have the data.
Yeah.
And we printed it out just in case it comes in.
Right, no, I mean, again, I've done that. When I used to have the horses and turn the stupid water on to fill it, forget about it, and.
It's worse when you're in Brockton and you're paying on both sides.
Right.
Well, as long as you're gonna stick around while we pay, so we
I
make
gotta
sure we
sign
get
those
these,
bills.
all these signed,
Mhm.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn, so they can,
I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
no, you're supposed to make it.
Well, I thought you made the entertainment, so I'm making.
No, I'm entertaining one, if you will, make
I'll
it.
make the motion. I'll make the motion. It's 5:51.
All right, I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Crickets.
That one's never opposed, okay? And we'll see you at the next meeting.